welcome to Real Talk Web Series episode 31. I'm Todd, and he's back. AJ.
I'm back.
He's back.
It's good to be back.
It's good to have you back. So, hey, if I love to say hey a lot, I'm going to quit doing that. Anyway, I'm really excited to have AJ back. I'm also excited to say we are literally at episode 31. Isn't that crazy? Right? That's awesome.
Here we are.
Hey, but real fast, what is Real Talk? Real Talk is an opportunity to have real talk about real life, God, the Bible, what this all means to live together, and sometimes just what it is to live and take time to really think about it. We don't promise to have all the answers. We do promise to take it seriously and to hopefully drive you to the real source of truth, which is the Bible. Up above, I can't remember if it's going to be above or here. You can see www.theremnant.live/real-talk. If you click that link, it's going to open up a form fillable box. Enter in your question or topic. Hit submit. That's magic. It appears anonymously. I said that right? Anonymously in our database. And then we will talk about it. So we're up to about 760 questions we've answered.
Keeps going.
And we also, so the web series is, it's been topical lately.
Yeah.
But then on Thursdays, and including this week, we go live on Facebook Live, Real Talk Live. I think we'll probably go at 9.
Cool.
Seems to be what we're doing. So probably see at 9 unless something changes. Pay attention.
Yeah,
like
right.
the page.
Got him.
And there we go.
Cool. So here we are.
Yeah.
Man, it was interesting being off, for a week and tuning in to. I got to see you guys do live twice.
Austin, man.
That's right.
It's like he's still in the room even now.
I know, it's wild. It's like he never left or something. Yeah. But it was cool, dude, just to kind of look at it from the outside and just be able to interact and be part of the crowd. It was fun. So you guys did great. I loved it.
Yeah, and you and I were talking off camera earlier about episode 30 that Austin also co-led, and I just thought he did a great job. I thought we had a really good conversation.
I agree, man.
And you were encouraged by it too.
I was. It was.
So that's pretty cool.
It's so cool, and that's this place is special. We have something like this that we're doing. It's a weekly thing where it's it's based off of 2 regular hosts. Mm-hmm. But as soon as one is gone for a little bit, we have people who are so amazing they can step in and it's like. It just breathes new air into it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I think it helps too for people to know, for instance, Austin. We're really close to Austin, know him well, so that helps too because it's not like you're dealing with someone you don't know. It's someone that has you have a real talk with too, which we have said this numerous times, and one of kind of the overarching themes of Real Talk is finding people in your life. Do you have 3 to 5 people in your life that you can have those real discussions with? So, yeah. Now, typically we start this off by just... Sorry. Production crew member's face is making me concerned. He seems worried, which is concerning me, and I need him to give me a thumbs up if we're good. Okay, we're good. I'm very sensitive to this. You know this. These guys have to know.
Squirrel. Yeah,
man. Well, they work when someone's going... I'm thinking there's a problem, so... All right, anyway. You're back, and we're right back to I'm not professional. So, typically what we do to start the show is just say, man, how you been? How's life? How's your week? I guess it's been really 2 weeks now for you.
That's right, yeah. So vacation was amazing. It all went by so fast. I got there, so took a flight to Phoenix Mesa Airport in Arizona. Landed. As soon as we landed, hopped in the car, went and got some In-N-Out Burger. That was delicious.
Never had it.
So good, man. And I think I've told you this before, but it's actually super cool because on their cups, on their fries, and on their burger wrappers, they have different Bible verses.
I do remember you telling me.
And that was so cool because I had no idea they were any sort of like religious organization, which is super awesome.
I didn't either.
So did that, and then we drove all the way to Los Angeles. So that was like almost 11 or 12 hours of total travel time just from the first day out there, and it was.
So did you take off as soon as you got there? I mean, you said you ate and then just rolled.
Boom, gone all the way to
What
Los
time
Angeles.
did you get in there? Did you say? Sorry if I missed that.
Landed or to Los Angeles?
Like when you landed before you took off to Los Angeles. What time did you get to Arizona?
We got there at about I think 2 or 3 p.m.
Oh, p.m. and then you just ate and left.
That's right.
Wow.
And it was intense. Honestly, got there, stayed at the hotel, and then we just back on the road doing a bunch of crazy stuff. It was cool though. I got to go to the Grand Canyon. Saw the Grand Canyon for the first time.
Is that pretty surreal?
Oh man, it was so beautiful, and it's so cool because being a Christian now, like it brings a new perspective to things like that. You know, people who aren't even believers can go and appreciate those things, but when you go there and go, wow, like
Point
God,
you to God.
wow,
Yeah.
it just, man, it
Reminds me of
I was
that
in
verse
awe.
that says all creation points to him. You know?
Oh man, and it was just so beautiful. We kind of, just there's a bunch of different points where you could kind of look, and like there's some views that you could stop at where you could see the Colorado River all the way at the bottom. It was beautiful, and so yeah, I got to do that. Went to a hotel that's also used to be a cruise ship called the Queen Mary, and that's in Long Beach, California.
Long Beach represent.
That's right. Hey, LB. And that was really cool. It's considered one of the most haunted places in the world.
What a weird thing.
I know, right? It was so, and the most interesting thing about that hotel is like there's no security, so they just have all these people staying in this ginormous 6-level ship, and it's just open all night, so people can just roam that ship endlessly. Doesn't matter.
This ship must be. Is it just so massive?
Oh, it's huge, dude, and it was actually really cool because they compared it to the Titanic. Like they had actual those
scale.
replicas,
Yeah.
that you can people put in
What is the
boxes.
difference?
Oh man, I think it's just as big.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I was standing like it's endless,
Yeah.
wild. What else did I do? I feel like there's 3 big things we did. I always leave one out.
Universal Studios.
Oh yes, that's right. Nice.
Hey,
Yeah, a bunch of Universal Studios in Hollywood, and that was really fun too, man. A lot of cool rides, cool overall experience. They had a tour. The tour was cool. I know I told you guys about the War of the Worlds, where they had the actual set still set up with all the plane wreckage and everything. And that was super cool. So
And you said,
overall,
how much was that spent?
oh man, they said it was a $300,000 set, and it was in the film for 4 minutes. So that it blew my mind, man.
The amount of money that gets poured into those, that sort of made me go, I've been thinking about it since you said it. $300,000 would change my life forever.
And Steven Spielberg was like, you know what? 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Stevie. I'm kidding.
Hey, Steve, give us a call.
That's right. Give us some better production value over here. But yeah, overall, vacation was good. But it is nice to be back. I immediately, man, it's so cool because I know, church is special, and, old me would have never wanted to come to church, but it's so funny when you're away from church for a week. I got back, what was it? Was it Friday or Saturday? I think I got back Saturday, didn't I? I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure it was Saturday because the next day we had church, and I came in, stepped foot in here, man, I just felt the energy just come back. And it was so good, and so glad to be back with my family. Even though it's with my other family.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's just church family and just, man, be back in the swing of things, and I'm feeling good. Energy's good. Just, man, God is good, and I'm just so happy. Yeah, just glad to be back. Overall, it's been great. So
Good, man. That's awesome. I'm glad it went really well.
yeah. But how about Todd? How's Todd doing?
I got in. So the last week, I don't really know. Can't really tell you what about the last week. I think just kind of the same thing. Church went really well. I thought Sunday. A lot of exciting things here. I say that a lot, so a lot of my time's taken up by that. But today, specifically, ironically, not planned. I got in this morning and just had some very quiet time with God and in the Word. And man, it's so weird because I had told myself when I got in, I'm going to take some quiet time with God. I literally said that I'm going to read, and then the first thing I do is start surfing the internet, like at my desk. And then I even thought to myself, like, why am I putting this off? And I finally was like, I'm waiting to feel like doing it. And so, I do it, put it aside, and I start reading. And man, I was like, oh, you have these thoughts in your head of this isn't doing anything. And man, by the time it's done, it's one of those things again where you just realize that man does not live on bread alone, but by the very word of God. And just the best way I can put today is I've just had a feeling of the sweetness of the Spirit, man, just resting in God. And I felt like today was just a gentle reminder in a lot of ways that He loves me and that I'm His son. And I get that encouragement came through His Word, but also through interactions with some people. And a lot of times you see a lot of the worst of people, but there's people out there who will never hear of, you'll never know, they'll never be famous, that are doing just some beautiful, amazing things for Jesus, for the kingdom. And that encouraged me, man. I was talking to you about it earlier off camera too, and almost made me cry. Just a good day of, man, this is my father, and he loves me, and like I see his kids at work, my brothers and sisters that are out there, and sometimes it's easy to focus on a lot of that negative stuff. Yeah. I always think one of the curses, I guess, of being, I hate using the word leader, but a leader, my type of personality is I'm a problem solver. So sometimes I think I look for problems to solve, right, instead of just resting in where I'm at. Right. So, and that may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but for me, where I often feel like the stepson, today was a day where I felt like his son, and that was really encouraging. And I encourage you guys too.
Really good, man.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. And then in Titus 3, verse 5, simple thing that's been stuck with me all day. I shared in our men's group, and I'll read it real fast. Actually, I'll pull it because I just shared it with several people. But I think it is, he saved us not by works of righteousness that we had done, but according to his mercy. And I think that's not a coincidence that I had this feeling again of, I don't have to strive to be his son. I don't have to strive for him to love me. He loves me because that's who he is.
That's right.
So that's been really cool, man, and hopefully you guys, I think you hear me complain a lot, so I just want to encourage you guys and tell you, man, today is one of those days. And one other thing I caught myself doing in the midst of this is being nervous that I'm having a good day. That's how weird I am, that I'm not allowed to. And I'm like, well, as soon as I get happy about something, that's when I'm going to get my legs kicked out from under me.
The tidal waves.
Yeah. So I've been like fighting. So I've been fighting that. I actually walking up the stairs to come to the studio, I had that thought of, you can't get happy. Because I was like, man, thank you, God. Don't be happy. I'm like, oh, that's so irrational. And I was like, no, I'm going to. And just that thought came in my head, you are my son. So, hey, be encouraged. God loves you. And
amen, man.
It's good stuff.
Wow.
So, yeah. That being said, and what's a verse that encourages you guys? I would love for you to post below. What's a verse that encourages you for you? That speaks to you. And, let's make it specific. How about what's a verse that has encouraged you in the last 2 weeks?
I love it.
Even if it's that one I just shared, because that one encouraged me. In the meantime, we do have, this is live on the spot. In our database, we have...
I have no idea what's coming.
I don't... The person says, not sure if this is a question or more of a topic. Okay. I am someone who loves having a plan for everything and being organized, etc. But lately I feel like I no longer have a plan for the future. I sort of feel like I'm just going with the wind, hoping God puts me where he wants me. And it's scary and uncomfortable. Is it wrong to live in such a way with no idea what my next step will be? Do you think God puts seasons like this in our life for a time, or will this last longer than expected?
Interesting. First off, I applaud you for being organized, because I am not organized ever.
What?
Yeah, right. So, I think it's a good trait to have. If you're an organized person, that's awesome. But everything has its advantages and disadvantages. And I think a disadvantage to being so, organized and everything's there is you tend to get so caught up in it. And you forget almost everything that you're doing has a deeper meaning. Even no matter what it is. It can even be grocery shopping. Like you could be like, I have to go grocery shopping at 10:35 a.m. and if I miss it by 2 minutes, my life is over.
Yeah.
And then I'm starving or whatever. Like you forget. You get blinded by the schedule. So it's interesting that they mention seasons, because I think that's totally plausible that God could be giving them, this sense of like, man, I don't have any organization, to maybe possibly tell them, hey, my timing is perfect, let yourself go for a little bit, breathe, experience the other side, because we can always get caught up. Like I said, there's always an extreme in everything. So if you're going a little too far to the extreme side of being organized, maybe he's just trying to pull you back a little bit, and just allow you to understand, hey, it doesn't have to be this way because you're missing out on so much because it's this way. So that's what I got for that one.
Yeah, I think that's good. I was actually coming at it. a different way, but I actually agree a lot. I think sometimes, God's goal for us, each individually, first and foremost, is to make us more like Him and to get us to live in a deep faith in Him, in relationship and trust. Faith is trust, right?
Yes.
The definition of faith is complete confidence and trust in something. Right?
Webster.
Yeah, Merriam. So I think sometimes it is great to be organized. And honestly, I think that's being a good steward of your time sometimes.
Absolutely.
But I also think that organization, because we're humans and our fleshliness, can quickly turn to control. And when you realize you don't have control,
yes,
it can make you feel out of control and scared. And sometimes I do think God is like, stop striving, stop worrying about tomorrow, right? He says that. Jesus said, don't worry about tomorrow, for today has enough worries of its own, right? That's a big deal sometimes. And I love, this person sounds like you're on the right track. Seasons. I love that, right? We have, you can't have, you don't have summer without spring, and you don't have, the time of planting crops without, that happens. The crops grow during a certain season because that's when it's favorable for them to grow. And I think this is the same for us. Sometimes we go through seasons that's favorable for us to grow in whatever way God's trying to get us to go. So I think it's really good you connected that. The other thing is the other side of that, to speak into your fear. Because I also think there's times that's scary. It's not, let's put aside the organization, the scary of going, what do I want out of life?
Oh yeah, man, it's so uncomfortable.
We had a talk with a friend of ours today, and I don't know if we were at lunch with him, and I said to him, I specifically said, I go, what do you want out of life? And, he said, I don't know. And you could, and he said, well, he started telling me what job I would take this job. What would you do in the job? I don't know, whatever. I said, well, what do you want? So we're so scared. I always think we're so scared to dream. We're so scared to even let ourselves want anything.
Right.
Because we're so used to being let down, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that if you start with, to your question about what's your next step, what I always tell people is, what do you want? Big picture. God comes down and He says, hey, you can have anything you want, not the whole you're a millionaire for no reason thing.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you want to do? What is that? Because I think even if you can't have that, because for whatever reason, although I tend to be a person that thinks anything's possible. I really do. But that dream you have, in that dream, there is a nugget or a seed or a kernel of your heart and what makes you feel life. And if you can figure that out, then you can start figuring out the next step. Sometimes we're sitting and we don't let ourselves dream. And so we start thinking about what's the best path. And then you get frozen. Does that make sense? Because best is dependent on everybody else.
Yes, I've totally been there. And it's interesting, and you mentioned it, and it's because people are so scared of, being let down, being hurt. And it makes me sad because there's so many different angles of this too. Like you said, that's one of them. That's one, alley is people getting hurt. And then some people take it to the extreme of, I know we've mentioned before, and I think this is something I can also struggle with sometimes. Like, first off, I hate failing, and I hate feeling like I let people down. But then there's also this other side. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys can probably relate to this, where we've mentioned before here at the Remnant, we talk about love God, love others, love yourself. People usually say, like you always mention those I am second videos, like it's more like I am a third.
Yeah.
And people can take that so far to the extreme that, like, they get so lost, like you said, like you might ask them questions like, I don't know, because I just never even thought about myself at this point,
They don't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, that's not what it means. Exactly. Yeah. It's, when you put in that order there, it doesn't mean that you have no value. It's just saying, hey, make sure you focus on others because God's going to take care of you. It doesn't mean you can't have, goals. It doesn't mean you can't have these things you want to do.
Yeah.
That's right. So it's wild, man. And it's interesting how, us as humans, we just have all these different reasons that just, man, they can hinder us if we let it. And it's tough.
Maybe there's a connection between that season too. And maybe the season is for you for God to get you to realize that you matter and that He cares about your heart and that He has healing to do in your heart and that He wants you to dream and lead you somewhere differently. Because I know that a lot of times their description, being organized does not mean this. It is a good thing. So we're not saying But let's say this person sounds like they're used to always having that next step.
Yep.
And those type of people tend to be very driven, but they can also be very people pleasing, which is why they have to be so organized, because they have so many different balls in the air because they're trying to please everyone.
That's right.
And sometimes when you do that, you lose that your life has meaning too, which goes back to what you said. Absolutely, we love others and put them first, but that doesn't mean that we're not good stewards of our life too, and like what God's given us in that.
That's so good, man.
So hopefully, yeah, I don't know. I think enjoy this season. Instead of letting it be a source of worry for you, maybe take it as a time where your father, right, your daddy, has picked you up and said, you know what, you're done working for today. Let's just spend some time together.
Yes.
Let's talk about where you want to go and where I want you to go, and let's dream. And so be encouraged. God has a purpose for that, and don't worry about tomorrow. Let yourself sit in it and enjoy it.
And thank you for asking that question, because I'm sure you asked it for a lot of people.
Yeah,
That's
we love that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Keep bringing up topics. I love the idea of that. We've kind of shifted a little bit, because some people are like, well, I don't know what question to ask. Well, it could be a question or it could be a topic.
That's right.
You know, it could be something as simple as, can you talk about divorce? Can you talk about marriage? Can you talk about homosexuality? Can you talk about, I don't know, money? Well, let's talk about it. So
that's right. Anything.
So yeah, that's good. I think I had a couple thoughts. I told you this ahead of time, topically. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that has been on my mind a little bit is, there's two, and I'm trying to figure out which one of these two I want to. One, we kind of talked about, you and I personally yesterday. Mm-hmm. And the second is the easier one, but it's sort of big topic. What do you think? Ooh, my voice is changing. Did you hear that? Oh, be a real boy. No. I have been struck with, you and I are not married, either of us. Mm-hmm. Relationships, sure.
Yep.
They're hard, right?
Yes.
Marriage, I think both, if someone were to ask both of us, we would both say we want to be married.
Yes.
But I've been struck lately with relationships and marriages. I see people that are married. I think about myself as in relationship, processing toward getting married.
Yeah.
What do you think's what's the hardest part that you, I assume, well, maybe you don't, maybe you're weird, or maybe I'm weird.
Okay.
Do you ever have things where you're like, man, I don't know if I want to do that? And if so, what's the hard part for you? What's the hardest part about being in a relationship? You're in one.
Yes.
What's the hardest part for you?
So for me, I think I can come at this because I feel like I have a lot of reasons actually. One, who I used to be. Since I didn't grow up in church, I didn't live the right way, especially with past relationships. That's affected me. And you know, if you were to ask me, you know, this is my first true, you know, like trying to do it right relationship. So that's been hard because it's not what I'm used to. And even though, you know, you claim the name of Christian and all these things,
ignore that, guys. We have work being done on the building.
That's right.
Unplanned. That's just a saw cutting random pieces of wood. Moving on.
We'll get closer to the mics. So I think that's big. There is I struggle with, even though I've claimed the name for a long time, when you get into a relationship and you're not used to that, there's just automatically things you're going to struggle with because you're not used to it yet. Mm-hmm. So then you have to experience those things and then grow in it. Mm. With that also is, I would say, clashing viewpoints sometimes on things, depending on where you're at. Man, there's a lot. Relationships are just tough because you always have to, do your best to love them no matter where they're at. So, you know, because love is not a feeling, it's an action. Mm. So if they're having a bad day, you know, you have to do your best to not provoke that negativity any more than it's already there, you know. Yeah. So, and that's why love is so selfless, you know. It reminds me that I love that it brings you back to Jesus, because that's how Jesus was. He's like, why are you hitting me? You know, what have I done? Okay, well, I still love you, you know. And it's the same thing, you know. I can find myself, something that I struggle with, and I've had a lot of conversations about this. Is I used to be, well, I probably still am sometimes, but a people pleaser, bad. I lived my whole life really pleasing people, doing whatever I could to make everybody happy. Didn't matter what it took, I was gonna make everybody happy. So what I ended up having to do was just kind of change everything about who I was in that capacity. So instead of, I found myself growing farther away from saying, "Oh, I'm sorry that this is happening. I'm sorry that all these things are, I can understand how you're feeling this way." And I just dove straight into, well, let's fix this. Let's do this. Let's do that. Well, what about this? What about that? Well, this is what I think. I think you're thinking this way. Maybe you're overreacting. Maybe you're doing all these things. And people, especially in my relationship, that can be tough because that can be like, well, I just want my feelings to be acknowledged. And it's like, oh, shoot, maybe I didn't do that, So that's one of my biggest things is trying not to people please people. And that can really, that can kind of, I guess, dilute a couple things. Like it can make me not look as loving as I am, or that I don't care as much. I hope that made sense. I was kind of rambling. But.
No, it made sense. It's hard to talk when you got a saw chopping through the world back there.
Chopping through the world.
Yeah, I like what you said, man, and I think I'm going to kind of piggyback off that. Yeah. What I've realized about myself and when I see others, all of us, and I think God knows what He's doing. I mean, He does, but it's cool to see it. We are at our most selfish. There is nothing that will bring out our sinful selfishness more than romantic relationships. Because I see it everywhere. There's a level of intimacy, no matter if you've got a girlfriend, you're dating, or whatever, right? Or married. Marriage even more. You see each other deeper on a deeper level than your average people.
Yeah.
And so with that intimacy, this is just my thoughts I've been thinking, comes a fear of rejection. This person is seen past that, each level of relationship kind of gets closer to your heart, right? People are out here. Okay, well, I'm dating, I let them in here. Yep. Okay, now we're exclusive, whatever you want to call it. They're here. Yep. I'm engaged, I'm here. I'm married, they're here. And now they see me.
Oh, that's good.
And I think they see me for what I see me as a lot of times. And I think we're self-protective. And what I meant by God is I think it's incredibly beautiful and it's so powerful that He said, you know what? This scariest thing is what I'm going to use to show the world how I love you, because that's how scary love is. And I want you to know what my love for you is like. In relationship, I want you to understand every time that someone, if you got a girl, we're guys, a girlfriend, if you got a boyfriend, a husband, or wife, one of the things I've wondered and thought to myself lately is, how would Jesus love them in that moment?
Yeah.
People are irrational. They're mean sometimes. You're mean sometimes. Your wife, your husband is mean sometimes. Your boyfriend, girlfriend, you're mean sometimes.
Yep.
That's the human condition, right? As we get, and hopefully that becomes less and less. But what do you do when they are at their most unlovable? And I think, I'm telling you, you said it earlier. To me, it has just been hitting me the last 2 weeks. That's why I want to bring this up. As I see marriages and everything, I just keep thinking, Lord, you loved us and love us so radically because we spit in your face.
Oh, man.
We tell you we hate you.
Yep.
We, in our actions, we don't respect you. Men, that's a big thing for us because we don't respect God when we don't listen to Him, when we don't take His advice seriously. And yet you love us. And that is the way that we should love. That's what marriage should be. It should be characterized by this radical love that makes no human sense.
Gosh, man, that's wild.
Yeah, and I love that you did it, man, because that's where I was going to go of tying it to, and that's what I meant through my part here is God. Like, man, when it says Ephesians 5, He says this is a mystery, but I'm talking about Christ and the church.
That's right, His bride.
Yeah, and you're going, when this is after He describes, husbands, love your wives, sacrifice, wives, respect your husbands. He goes, and even Paul, I think, didn't quite fully get it. He goes, I don't understand it all, but I want you to know that this picture of your marriage is tied to Christ and us. And that is going to show people. And, man, I think it's tough. And I think too many of us go into relationships and marriages thinking it's about what the other person gives me. Right?
That's
Instead of, honestly, this isn't Christian. I want you to think, Christians or whoever out there that go, oh, I've heard this, listen to this. Like, what I think it's actually about you serving.
Yeah.
I mean, think about 100%. it. I think that's what it is, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know it, but I mean, I want you to. What if we actually said, when I go to say I do, I'm not going, oh, I always have a partner now. It goes, oh, I'm always someone's partner now. I'm always someone's best friend. I'm always someone's support now. Not work, you know, because a lot of times they say, I just want to. I hear people say this. I just want companionship. That's good and real. I just want this. Well, guess what? When you get married, it's about you being their companion. You got to quit worrying about their part, because even if you could fix their part, if you don't fix yours, you're still not at 100%.
That's right.
Right? You're not perfect marriage. So if both people were seeking God and seeking to serve each other, wouldn't that be cool? And I suck at that, right? Like,
you know what's interesting though is maybe this is just me. Like this literally just hit me. So you might be like, no, AJ, that's not right. But so I think of, like you said, like, you know, perfect marriage. What if a perfect marriage is actually never going to exist? Because when you think about Christ and him loving the church, we're the church, and are we perfect? No, we don't hold off our end of the bargain, and yet we are his marriage to him. I
think you're right.
That is literally such a beautiful picture.
But I think that you're right, and I think that's the point. He's like, you're going to be imperfect, love each other anyway.
That's right.
And when you see it, at least when I see it, the times that I see a husband or wife love each other in ways, they're small, man. Okay, he might even be in Austin. I was with Austin last Friday. He doesn't know this. He's married. Lovely wife. Good friend of mine. But, you know, she's not perfect. He's not perfect. And when you're close to both, you see both those imperfections.
That's right. But
I see him still call her and say, do you want anything from this store? This sounds so minor. Or I want to pick up this for Taylor. Oops, said her name. I want to pick up, you know, whatever else it is. I want to do this. I'm like, man, that's a beautiful thing, because just even thinking that way tells me that his mind is always with her, is always saying the way. And I have a lot of friends that way, and I don't know. It's a beautiful thing, but it's a hard thing, man. And I hate my selfishness, and you know, we can go way more into detail. Typically, this goes into man and wife stuff, but I'm more fascinated by the relationship itself.
Me too. I agree, man.
And I was watching a video by John Eldridge and his wife Stacey Eldridge. They were Wild at Heart, captivating. I love that guy. Made an impact in my life. But one of the things he talks about is we carry agreements into our marriages. We make agreements. So what it means is, she will never understand me. He will never love me well. Like, we have these thoughts that we agree on in our mind. Like, and through that lens is how we see the marriage, and that affects the marriage. So if I'm saying to myself, if I'm married, for instance, and I say, she never respects me, then I'm going to be looking for things that prove my thought right. So it colors everything in the relationship. Does that make sense? You have to recognize those agreements and recognize them as not true, so that you can have real intimacy and love and have a healthy relationship. And man, when he said that, it made so much sense about, even in dating relationships I've been in, I come in with these agreements in my mind, these thoughts about myself that I put on them. And even if it's true, if you say someone will never respect me, for instance, you're taking away their ability to ever change, because you've already said what's going to happen. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
I don't know. I thought it was really powerful. I'll have to show you that video later.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. Man, you sent me an article earlier that was so good.
Yeah, same couple.
That's awesome. And I was sitting here thinking, it's interesting because, like I said, like, you know, I'll never be perfect, and that's a great representation of Christ, and, you know, and us as his bride, as the church. And then it hit me that, you know, there's another verse in the Bible that I feel like kind of connects it in a way. Is, you know, it talks about, you know, we're made perfect in our weakness. You know,
my power is made perfect.
That's right.
His power is made perfect in my weakness. Yeah,
that's right. And it makes me think of marriage too, in a way, because again, like, you know, he knew our weaknesses and still was like, I'm gonna die anyway because I love these. You know, I love you. Yeah. And it's the same way of, like, I know as a husband or a wife, like, I know your imperfections, but I'm gonna love you because, I mean, it's just you were made perfect in your weakness, and I can see that, but I still love you. You know. So that picture of that comparison of, you know, what it's supposed to look like between the relationship between Christ and church and a man and a husband and wife. And it's so interesting.
Yeah. So, I agree with you, man. I'm just in thought. So I guess kind of us wrapping that topic up is, folks, if you're listening, if you're not married, you're not in a relationship, and your primary focus is finding the right person, I'm going to challenge you to stop making that your focus and start focusing on being the right person. Right? Why don't you start focusing on being the right person for that person you meet? And you let God handle them. And that doesn't mean we're not wise and discerning in who we pick, but spend a lot of your time getting ready. I know this, and I've brought this up before. If I had a daughter and I was picking her husband, I don't want to hand her to just anybody. I want to hand her to someone who's going to treasure her,
That's right.
who's going to lead her, and vice versa. If I have a son, I don't want to want my son to marry a woman that's not going to appreciate him. So be that type of person that makes our Father want and excited about handing us to them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes.
So yeah, and just, be radical, guys. Be radical in your love. And I've had people tell me, well, I've seen it. Well, he or she loves everyone else really well. But if you don't love your husband well, that shows me that your love is only goes so far as your annoyance. Like your level of annoyance, because the people that are closest to you are going to annoy you the most.
Right.
It's easy to love someone you don't have to live life with.
Oh, that's so true.
So, hey, you want to be radical in your loving? Love somebody when you know all their faults, just like Jesus does us. Right? Anyway, you have anything else?
No, man, it's good to be back, dude, because I love these conversations. I miss these conversations, I think one good thing, about leaving for a week is you tend to take things for granted the longer they go. You know? So when you finally leave something for a little bit and you come back, you're like, dang, man, I love this.
You take it for granted.
Yes. So I'm back now, and man, it's just
I get that.
It's refreshing. It's so good to be back and have these conversations again. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you guys for allowing us to have these conversations by asking good questions and just joining us and allowing this ministry to exist, because if no one watched it or no one liked it or no one shared it or no one asked questions, we wouldn't do it. I mean, we'd have these talks, but no one else would hear it.
That's right.
So again, we appreciate you guys so much. You have anything to add before I give them the business spiel?
Thank you guys so much. It's just crazy to think that here we are, and it's got to be approaching close to a year of just on the grind, every week, just answering these questions and just talking about these topics. And man, it's just been such a fun ride. I'm so excited to be back and doing it again. And I love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. And I agree. It is, we say it a lot, but it's surreal. So appreciate you guys so much. This is Real Talk Web Series. You can go check out our previous ones if this is your first time. 31 other episodes. You got a lot of content to go check out.
Hours.
Yeah, and I think they're all beneficial and cool, and hopefully you guys find them that way too. They have been so good for us personally. So a little bit of business up above. Again, that link is www.theremnant.life/real-talk. You can go ahead, fill out a question or topic. Please do. We want to interact with you and have those type of questions. If you're watching this today and something sparks a question or a thought, or you have a verse or anything to share, would you comment below? I would love to see 100 comments of people who've watched, because we get 150, 200 views on these. I would love to see you comment in there and give us some your thoughts, because we want to interact with you. And be patient. We will get back to you and we'll talk and have some interaction.
Yes,
we would love to do that. If this video has blessed you in any way or you've enjoyed it, would you do us the honor and favor of liking it, sharing it even? And then on top of that, if you haven't liked our page, we are the Remnant Church in Columbia City, Indiana. You can go follow the link, click on the Remnant, go hit like, follow, and see first. Hey, it blesses us and helps you become a part in the ministry again, because the more likes you get, just the way Facebook works, the more people you reach.
That's right.
So we would love to have you join us in that. If you want to donate to our cause or to this ministry specifically, you can give at any time from your phone right now at www.theremnant.life/give. Click the drop down box, hit real life, put in your amount. It's fully tax deductible. You'll even get a form that'll, at the end of the year, that'll tell you that you can claim it. But you also will bless us and it'll go right back into the ministry. So I think that's about it. We appreciate you guys all so much. And join us this Thursday, September 19th at 9 p.m. for Real Talk Live on Facebook. We have a good time. We do some fun stuff. We do some silly stuff. We do some painful stuff that when we eat hot stuff. And we have real talk. So other than that, we hope you guys have a great rest of your day, a great week, and God bless you.